Good morning. My name is Dr. Breda McTaggart. I'm the Head Department of Social Sciences in ATU Sligo, and I'd like to welcome you to our talk about the arts programmes in ATU Sligo this morning. Before we start, I suppose we're going to talk about three programmes in particular this morning, and they're what we call joint majors. And I'm going to give a short presentation, and then we'll speak to some of the questions that you may be interested in me answering, and you can also ask questions. The first thing I'm going to do is just speak to the bottom of the screen there. I can see some of you have joined me this morning, this beautiful Saturday morning in Sligo anyhow, so I hope it's beautiful where you are. And normally we would do this on campus, but with COVID the year it is, we felt that we wanted to do a live Q&A and live talk about it to try and emulate as far as we can what you would get if you would come on campus. And if you don't know ATU Sligo at all, we're in the northwest of Ireland, in one of the most beautifully scenic places that you could possibly be, with a lovely community, a town, beaches and mountains and hills, but also it is a place where students do exceptionally well, and we're delighted to have them in our campus, which I'm going to share my screen now, and hopefully all works okay for us this morning, but if it doesn't, we'll manage that too. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint with you. And any issues at all, just we will be able to sort them out, myself and my colleague who's helped me this morning. So now you should be able to share my screen. You should be able to see my screen, should I say. So I want to formally thank you for joining me this morning. My name is Dr. Breda McTaggart, and I want to welcome you to our arts community in ATU Sligo. And the first picture that you see, and hopefully you can see it okay, is the picture of the fish in ATU Sligo. So what I'm going to do, as I said, is just speak through this a little bit. Along the bottom of your screen, you'll get a chance to ask Q&As, and I might leave those till the end. So please feel free to type in things as you go, and I'll come back over them at the end. If we just use the Q&A box at the end, and hopefully you're familiar with Zoom, it's just in the bottom toolbar. We will speak to each of the programs individually, and then we'll have a general conversation about it. But first thing, I would like to introduce you to the department that I have the privilege of being head of department for. So I have a team of 40 colleagues who work with me. They're on another forum this morning working with students who are interested in becoming on the programme. So in our department, we have over 700 students. So the Department of Social Sciences would have a very high number of undergraduate students in our department, but we'd also have quite about 110 taught masters, and then large numbers of other PhD and research students as well. So within our department, we have all these wonderful students, and that's the picture of our side of the building that you can see in front of you there. It's very modern. It was done up, that piece of it was done up in 2017-18, and we got back into it. And you see there's a lot of glass and a lot of light and all the things we really expect of a modern day building. For us in ATU Sligo, we have undergraduate and postgraduate programs, and the department would have those as well. So we deliver to 700 students. We deliver a certificate in counselling skills. We deliver a certificate in what's called social prescribing. We do a BA Honours in early childhood education and a BA Honours in social care. And we've been working in that field for over 30 years. More recently, we've gone into the arts programs. And the reason we've got into arts programs that it's because our region has asked for it. They've asked us to start providing arts awards, more traditional type arts awards, because they want to stay in the region or they want to come to this region to live and experience education. So we've responded to this need. So in 2016, we began in our English and Psychology Arts Award. We do a Sociology and Politics Arts Award, and we do a Law and Business one, which we've launched this year. Additional to those undergraduate awards, we also have large numbers of postgraduate awards, and those postgraduate awards are awards in teaching and learning. They're awards in social care and social justice. They're awards in other fields as well. They're awards in Masters in Leadership. They're awards in social care and social justice. They're awards in post-primary teaching. We're developing an award in that at the minute, and we're also doing the conversion course in psychology, and that's particularly of interest to those who wish to take psychology as a possible route into the future. I just want to try and change something with my screen, because I can see an icon coming up and I'm not quite sure if you can see it as well, so I'm going to try and change that. We have an English and Psychology Award that we developed, as I said, in 2017. And that award it's a 3-year honours degree. So these are honours arts degree awards, and they are joint majors. So when we're talking about joint majors, we're talking about evenly split awards that have half in English and half in psychology. So if you're at school at the minute and you're really passionate about those two areas, then you may decide to do an award in that field. And the English will focus on English literature, poetry, prose, wider world literature, contemporary Irish writing, drama studies, creative studies. So they're already there as a thing, and they're deliberately mapped to what we call the Teaching Council requirements to teach English. So the Teaching Council have a requirement that if you want to teach at a post-primary level English, you must cover certain subject areas. So we have mapped our learning experiences onto that. Psychology covers development psychology, cognitive psychology, personality and difference, etc. So they're all contemporary psychology. So they're all covering about how we think and how we conceptualize these and why we think the way we do and why is our behavior a particular way. So we have a team of psychologists that deliver that. So in your English strand, even though you may think English and psychology are different, there's actually similarities between them in terms of your ability to critique things, examine things, explore things and understand things. So there is that ability to do both of those requirements there. So you split it down the middle, and the only difference is if you've got a particular interest in English in year 3, you do your dissertation or your research project on the discipline of English, or if you've got an interest in psychology, you do your research project on the discipline of psychology. Our student graduates, they have gone into research, they've gone into arts, they've gone into policy, they've gone into community development, because an arts degree is a key to a door. And we always would say that any arts degree is a key to a door. The opportunities are wide and diverse in it. You could decide as you go along, I have a particular interest in community development, I have a particular interest in the arts sector itself, the pure arts sector. You may discover I'm really interested in policy, and you have the skills and understanding. I have an interest in research. It just depends what you really wish to do. And we're finding our students going into all sorts of different and interesting careers. Some of them going into communication firms, which traditionally would not have taken arts graduate, but they can see the value of those student groups in it. A number go on to postgraduate study each year. Some of them go on to the Professional Master of Education, which is to teaching, obviously, and they apply to it. Their spaces, of course, are competitive, but they are applying to it. Students have gone on to the conversion course in psychology, and I suppose it is worth noting, because this is a joint majors award split between English and psychology, there isn't enough credits for an accredited psychology course. But what we found is students are going on to do the conversion courses. And those conversion courses are about a year to a year and a half to 2 years someplace, but most are a year to a year and a half. So students have a 3-year honours degree and conversion masters usually within 4 or 4.5 years, which is a very short time frame to have all that qualifications under your belt. Some are going into masters by research. We have some who started research projects. Some actually headed to the UK to do postgraduates in midwifery, that you can do that in the United Kingdom, and some are going on to doctoral study. So there's a number of different career options for you. So English and psychology, what we find the students, if you were to ask them, to say it's the combination, it makes you think in different ways. They look at it from a different perspective. You learn the critiquing skills of both. You might have a passion. Some people come in with a passion in English and discover, actually, I really have a passion as well in psychology. Or they come in with, I'm not sure, but I really like both these subjects, but they thrive in these environments. Because we focus on the learning experience. The class sizes aren't huge. We wouldn't go over 35 or 40 in the class at all. I mean, we want students to have a good learning experience. You are in your cohort. While you're all arts students, and you will communicate and you will socialize and you become part of clubs and societies together, the actual bit about you in your classroom, you're in with your English and psychology colleagues, with a small crossover with one of our colleagues in performing arts for one of the subjects. But overall, it is your cohort, and you get to know each other very, very well. The other program is Sociology and Politics, and I suppose in a world that we live in today, we really do need graduates of sociology and politics to be able to respond to this world and the difficulties and the challenges we see in the world and the political structures and the things that we would like to change as a society, and I've always thought sociology and politics, you know, the more people that do this subject, the better for our society, because they will be able to force change, they will be able to bring about change, they will be able to move things forward, they'll understand the political structures, the systems that we exist in, and actually work in those media areas that need to understand that society may need to adjust a few things to improve. So what we've done with sociology and politics, we've done several things with it, in terms of we've ensured that the programme is mapped to the Teaching Council requirements. So politics is a leaving cert subject now, but you've also got SPHE as well. So our students cover the subject matter that would allow you to apply to undertake the award in that. We also have covered things that we know will be of value for future learning and careers, community development. We've also included a small placement where some of our students have went to, you know, to work in the EU Parliament, they work with politicians. You know, one of our courses obviously were part of the election campaigns that went on. They worked with people on the front line. They were part of the media response to it because they were familiar with, you know, voting systems, political structures, and the impact on society. So it's very, very rich, and it's certainly something, if people have an interest in, you know, social policy, social change, how to make the world a different place, how to advocate, how to activate things, then I would suggest this may be for you. So the type of things you can cover, as you can see, would lend itself towards that. You do equality and gender, equality, culture, globalization, international relationships, contemporary sociology as well. You do, for politics, you look at the political structures, political theory, civic engagement, active politics placement, as I've mentioned, and you look at all those things. The subjects are complementary, but you're just looking at things from a different perspective, so you get this enhanced, enriched understanding of our society and world, and the function of our world, and issues of sustainability, and issues of, you know, justice and gender and digitalization and globalization. So you have all this knowledge, and then you can use it in your future careers. The kind of roles that our graduates are going into is advocacy roles. They're going into non-government organizations, you know, working with community groups or community agendas or initiatives that people would wish to do community development. Also, they may work in social policy, and a small number go into the political sphere in terms of working in think tanks or working in with political you know, members of the community, and working with them to understand that profession a little bit more. So also a small number do go on to postgraduate study. Masters in social justice in IT Sligo. They might go into masters in politics. More recently, they've gone into masters in sociology. Some may apply for teaching, but most often they tend to go to social policy, sociology, social justice type masters award, and some of course go on to doctoral study each year. That would be normal enough for them. So our graduates do well out of programs like this because they can find it as an opportunity to access many, many different things. They find it an opportunity to question things and find a place where that is supported in organizations. And like, there's several organizations and 7 policies and several community organizations and agencies that are really interested in this, whether it be from, you know, Irish development or, you know, overseas development. There's plenty of opportunities and careers in that field also. It's not as obvious as some career fields, but it's certainly, there's opportunities in it. And again, the class sizes are small. They will liaise with their English and psychology colleagues, of course they will. They'll be part of that community of arts in IT Sligo. They'll be socialising, they'll be part of the groups that work together, whether it's debating societies or mature students or, you know, clubs and societies. You can decide your own club, and the politics society you could decide on. You can set up all that in IT Sligo, and we'll support you to do that. And then the more recent one is our BA Honours level in Law and Business. And again, it was a programme that our students of the region, our potential students of the region, their parents, their career guidance teachers wished us to address moving forward. So we did meet their requirements. And this one here is very much, it is law and business. And the reason those two are very complementary is that every law practice needs to have a is a business, if it's a small business, and every business needs to know the law. That's the reality of the world we currently work in. So they're very, very complementary. And while they're separate subjects, you will find the things that you cover, well, you know, okay, that makes sense in that module or that learning experience. Again, it's a 3-year honours degree. It is things you will study in your law strand will be legal systems, the tort law, company law, criminal justice, your constitutional law, data protection, global issues and trends, and many, many others, because I'm only obviously given a little taster of everything, and all is on the website. The business will be business trends, marketing, economics, digital transformation, enterprise and entrepreneurship. So all of the things that we would, if you were to think of a company today, all of the things that they need to be successful in their organization, they need those with an understanding of law and those with an understanding of business. And when you put them together, then you become very, very employable. So when we were looking about this, we spoke a lot to industry about where graduates would and could work into the future. They will work in banking and finance, be well sought after, public administration, legal executive, money laundering officers. These are opportunities that are now available, tax consultancy, regulatory affairs, advocacy, and many more because of the law component. You will have that and you're understanding the criminal justice system. So this degree gives you many, many opportunities. You will decide as you go through where your particular area of expertise are interested in, but for you, you make that choice and then you obviously apply afterwards. There is obviously students from these type of awards that go on to postgraduate study. Some of them, because the business component of this award again is mapped to what the Teaching Council would suggest should be covered in a business studies degree or business studies program. We have it mapped to that because we're just trying to give our students as much options as we possibly can. It's not to say that you will all choose that, but at least it's to allow that opportunity to be there. Students may apply to opportunities in law awards. So you may decide that that's the career that you want to do. You want to develop this more. So you might want to become, a solicitor in the future. Like all other graduates of similar awards, you would have to do what they call the FE1s. But you get a good foundation on this to apply to the FE1s exams. You might decide to apply to quality studies. You might decide to an MBA, which is a Master's in Business Administration. You might apply to the research or social justice. The value of all of these awards, the 3 arts awards in ITU Sligo, is they are 3 years. And those 3 years, allows you then to progress to other opportunities if you wish, to have a little bit of space to consider where your future does fall or where you're really passionate about. They're also transferable awards that you can go anywhere in the world, and these will be awards that will be considered of value. They're obviously degree honours level 8 degree awards, so they carry that status, but they also have these transferable skills like critical thinking, creative thinking, innovation, entrepreneurial skills. In all of them are built in it because they're deliberate. We've deliberately considered that in all our arts awards. How can we support a skill set, not just the academic and the theoretical and the knowledge, but the actual future ones to make your future career as positive and as rewarding as you could possibly like. So for myself, my contact details are there, but I am only the head of the department. There are wonderful people who are actually what we could call program chairs or program directors of these programs. So for English and Psychology is Orla Walsh and Bernie Meehan. For Sociology and Politics is Dr. Susan MacDonald. And for our Law and Business is Ruth Walsh and Lorraine Conlon Murphy. And all of these are available on another platform this morning, working with potential applicants, and they'll be delighted to get any queries that you have. But you can email me as the head of department and I'll filter them out as appropriate. And where I can, of course, I will answer them. But I'll answer also any questions you have in the Q&A this morning. The points, one of the things that you may be interested in is the points part of it. The points for arts degrees in the university sector is 300. The points in ITU Sligo will be similar at 300. There might be slightly, 297, 298 might go slightly above it, but overall the points are in around the 300, and that would be standard enough for an arts program. The difference, I suppose, between us and somewhere else is the one thing we value is we are interested in the learning experience of students, so we are interested in the class size, and we have made the decision to keep the class sizes manageable for the students in order for you to try and deliver in a way that we feel will be of most valuable for the students of our region. So that's our decision, and that's what we tend to do. So as I said, we wouldn't be going over much more than 35 on classes. We would probably be even below that. It depends on the year and the demand for the programs. There is a lot of demand for them, but we're always cognizant of what kind of experience we wish to give to our students. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I shall go to the chat box and see about any questions that anybody has. Sorry, and the first question, is the English and Psychology degree accredited by the PSI? I'm sure I've probably answered that. There's not enough credits for it to be accredited by the PSI at the moment. That's why the conversion course is a pathway to it. The PSI in the future, it'll be moving towards CRU. We have programs accredited by a CRU. We're also in the process of developing our own conversion course in ITU Sligo. Now that will take us a period of time, but we are in the process of doing that ourselves, and we're confident in our ability to secure the accreditation for us. What's the definition of an arts degree? An arts degree is a broad-based degree which allows you with skills and opportunities to explore things in depth. It's a theoretical course. It has application to practice, but it's about knowledge and understanding the world and the discipline that you're in, and to critique that appropriately. There is like arts degrees like early childhood, but these are what you consider the more traditional arts degrees, which is about the knowledge part of it in specific subject areas that you as the student would critically interrogate. I hope that answers your question. All the courses are mapped to the Teaching Council deliberately, as I said, because to allow students opportunities. But all teaching qualifications now, for any student who has a degree, they must apply to what's called the PME. It used to be the old HDIP, and that PME is the Professional Masters of Education, and that is delivered in obviously higher education providers throughout the country. We're also applying for accreditation in our one. It'll take us a little bit of time to do that, but you have to apply to PME, and the PME is quite competitive. So you need to consider, opportunities to apply to the different colleges in the country. But yes, it is mapped. You still apply. You still have to apply. There's no guarantee with any of those programs anywhere that you would get into it. I'm not sports with business. Somebody has said sports with business. Can I just suggest you contact John Kelleher, Kelleher. His name will be on the website, and he'll be able to give you information about sports and business. The international fees, can you drop me an email to that, and I will forward your query on to our access office, and they'll be able to give you specific fees. If you could just give residency as well, any particular things that you might wish us to be considered, then at least I can consider that. So just drop me an email at mctaggart.breda@itsligo.ie. So the question is, I would like to find out more about international fees for students, and in order to do that and give you the correct information, I'd need a little bit more detail from yourself. So if you drop me an email. Sports scholarship, I'd need to know is sports activities. Hold on till I see now. There's a question in about sports activities. Football player who'd like to help in the school in a sports could apply. You need to, the sports scholarship is a separate thing. Can I suggest anybody who with questions like that, because there's another team who are online this morning through what they call Pubble, and it will show up on ITU Sligo, and information about this football sports scholarship will be there. But you also need to give them information as well about what program you're intending to apply on. I'm not quite sure if that's the same question from the previous person, but you will need to do that. So I presume it is from the sports and business, but John Keller is the person to contact. Yeah, so the counselling skills course is a part-time course. It is over 2 years. It's a level 6 course, and it's online and face-to-face. So it's a combination of both. And in that you study, personal development, psychology, cognitive learning. For students who are interested in counselling, you then will be allowed if you're successful, you can apply to a college in Dublin for accredited a course after 2 years, and if you're successful, you can go on to accredited psychology, or not psychology, counselling, because we have a relationship, what we call a letter of cooperation, between one of the colleges in Dublin. So if you want to find out more about the counselling skills course, the programme director is Anna Fuhr Hamilton, ANNAFEWER Hamilton, HAMILTON, and she'll be able to help you with that. And it's part-time. The difference is it is part-time. Is a conversion course required before obtaining a PhD? No, a PhD is a philosophy doctorate. It's not particularly, if you want to do clinical psychology, it's a different thing. If you just want to do a PhD, a broad PhD in psychology, no, it isn't. You will apply to a PhD route. They're quite competitive, but a large number of the universities do have them, and you can apply to that. You apply to with your undergraduate degree. They may have an interest. I mean, obviously, if you have a master's qualification, it does help your chances to get onto a PhD. But if you look at some of the, just if you're doing a wee bit of searching around, look at some of the universities which have got PhD scholarships, and you'll see the entry criteria that they have on their website. So I hope that is helpful. Sociology and politics, you just do the two. It's deliberately focused on the two, and the reason we've kept it to that is based on our student feedback. It's to make sure that you can concentrate on both subjects, because 2 intense subjects, the students have said, is sufficient for them, that actually will be support their learning a little bit better. So we've done that. So it is just sociology and politics, in answer to your question. No, just drop me an email to my email, because this is going to be published live. So maybe delete your information off that, or we'll make sure it's deleted. But if you drop me an email, mctaggart.breda@itsligo.ie, I can send it on for you if you do that. Don't think of any more questions answered there, but I see there's some in the chat box as well. So I'm just trying to see some. The gerontology in order to get a full. Well, that's, I'm not quite sure what the gerontology is related to. Questions related to, if it's about another course, can I suggest? I think Betty, that's your name. Could you drop me an email, and I'll be able to direct it to the relevant people who may be able to guide you. I think it's a social care practice course you're talking to, but rather than confuse the conversation we're having now, and so if you just drop me an email, I can follow that up with you. Okay. So colleagues, have you any other additional questions or queries this morning? No, not at the minute. There's no arts degree involved in history. No, not in IT Sligo. There may be in the future, but not for the foreseeable, not for the next 2 to 3 years anyhow. I'm just trying to see, because I see you're using both things. Sociology is about the family structures, and it's about society and how it functions, and psychology looks at the individual and how they behave within different contexts. So they're very different disciplines. Sociology looks at the structures, and psychology would be more looking at the individual person and their behavior. That doesn't mean there's not, ignoring of one from the other. Like psychology would reference the external environment, the family, etc., and sociology would reference, development, but they are looking at things from a different perspective, without a doubt. So they are. If anybody wants to actually find out what's in the programs, up on the website, you can go into any of those programs. You can key in IT Sligo, let's say law and business. You can go into those web pages, and those web pages also include what they call a course format. And click on that link of course format, and you can have a look through the types of subjects that you get. It's just a summary. It doesn't give you a full sense of it, but if you're wondering what things would I expect to do when I arrive in IT Sligo at day 1, it may be helpful to do that. So will be. Any other questions or queries at all? Okay, I mean, Well, I'm not going to keep you any long because I appreciate that you've joined me on what I hope is a lovely day wherever you are in the country or outside the country. And thank you very, very much for joining me. Any questions at all, send it to my email address. There is information on the website as well. If you want to find out, normally we'd be having these conversations on the corridor. The one thing I would say about September, because I know this has come up when other students contacted me, we were following health advice, and at the minute that decision isn't made about whether we're going to be on our own campus. We love our students back on campus, but only when it's safe to do so. But, you know, we're very, very hopeful that things are improvement, that, you know, our crisis is nearly coming to an end, we hope, but we will know close to the time when we follow the government. The government will give us guidance and we will follow that. You know, students have been remote for the last year, and they've thrived in it. They've done very, very well. They're also looking forward to getting on campus as well. But, you know, don't be worrying too much at all about whether it's remote or you just go ahead with your dreams and your plans. We'll work with everything else. We'll go remote if we have to go remote. We'll be delighted to get back on campus if we can get back on campus. But, you know, you just go ahead with your plans the way you always had, your dreams, your career aspirations. We'll worry about the rest, if that makes sense. We know how to deliver it. We're very fortunate. Online learning is quite the normative in IT Sligo. And while we do have technical glitches, of course, they're easy managed and we can work with that. So don't worry about it. Go ahead with your dreams. Don't let the uncertainty of COVID. My advice would be, you know, you've worked very, very hard to apply to courses. I really wish you the best. If you wish to work in youth work, yeah, maybe in sociology and politics would be more appropriate than English and psychology. Yes, of course it would. Yeah. That's answering one of the questions. If I wanted to work in youth work, maybe in Fergus, should I look at sociology? My suggestion would be sociology and politics would be a better fit. And you often hear your teachers talking about better fits. You know, where you belong or where you want to be, which program is the better fit. As I said, arts, the standard points for arts tends to be 300 above in the country. Ours would be in around that too, slightly 297 an odd year, 306 another year. So they do fluctuate a little bit, but I would say 300 is, you know, a good set of points. My email is at the back of the slides. So it's mctaggart.breda@itsligo.ie. So McTaggart, McTaggart.Breda, BREDA @itsligo.ie. Is that okay? I'm cognizant that I think, just to make sure I have missed something. I think I've got all your questions, hopefully. The recording, we will check it over and make sure it's okay, and we will post it if that's fine, and if not, I'll re-record something. But for the moment, I think we will finish up here for today, and thank you so much for joining me, and I hope I see some of you in the near future, in the real world, as we often say, and thank you so much for joining me this morning. Thank you. Goodbye.